You're listening to Let's Talk Sustainable Business.
Welcome to Let's Talk Sustainable Business, a podcast hosted by the Conference Board's Global Sustainability Center. I'm your host, Claudia Lee. This is part 2 of my conversation with Karen Pflug, the Chief Sustainability Officer at Ingka Group. In the last part, Karen gave us a summary of her multifaceted role as CSO of Ingka Group, which is IKEA's largest franchisee. She also shared IKEA's sustainability goals and how the company aims to fulfill its goal of becoming people and planet positive. In this part, Karen will be sharing some case studies so that we have a better understanding of how IKEA implements sustainability in practice. Hi, Karen. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, great to be back. Thanks, Claudia.
So, I understand you wanted to talk a bit more about the IKEA's zero emission deliveries, which is something that I'm very fascinated about. So maybe let's start with some of the initiatives related to zero emission deliveries.
Great. Yes. Yeah, this is something I'm also quite passionate about as well. We are trying to transition to be zero emission deliveries by 2025 across all of our markets. So we are at the moment looking at, we've got it in 24 countries. We're really looking at how do we sort of up the ante and expand here as well. We have 100% emission free home delivery in 15 cities right now. And that includes Amsterdam and Vienna, Glasgow, Nice, Oslo, Shanghai as well, and also 9 other major cities in China.
Wow.
So we've made great inroads, if you excuse the pun, but we also know there's plenty to do with our transport service providers. And you mentioned earlier as well about the River Seine in Paris, which is
Mhm.
fantastic too. And I was very excited about a year ago to learn about this initiative. So it was great that after a lot of hard work together with the Port of Paris and the city government as well, we could actually open that up. So super exciting to get a lot of our goods down into the heart of Paris and then delivered by e-vehicles for the remainder to actually get it to people's doors. So yeah,
Mhm.
fantastic initiative.
Yeah, congratulations on that initiative. It's so great to hear. So when you talk about emission free, am I right in understanding that you're using electric vehicles for all of the deliveries?
Yeah, that's the aim for that's certainly the what we say when we say zero emission. Of course, you know, as the technology evolves, and we're also exploring hydrogen and so on as well. But primarily now, it's about e-vehicle trucks that we are purchasing and delivering, and sometimes bikes as well in some of the markets with some of the smaller parcels we can deliver by either bike or e-bike too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Um, and when you deliver, so I guess the process of delivering when you use EVs or bikes will be emission free, but packaging is another big issue when it comes to not, I guess, not emissions but carbon footprint.
Yeah.
I'd like to understand a bit more about how you reduce the carbon footprint in terms of packaging.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, you could say that IKEA, right from the very start, were the masters of this in the creation of flat pack furniture. We used to like to say when I worked more on the inter IKEA side with the design and development that we don't ship air. So it's very much about making sure that every little centimeter of the package is as full as it can be of sort of value adding product for the customers. So the flat pack was originally invented by the founder Ingvar Kamprad, of course, to save money,
Yeah.
both for the customers and for IKEA. But it is the ultimate way to also ship things sustainably is to make it as small and efficient a package as possible. And we
Mm-hmm,
also have switched to sort of, you know, making sure that we use cardboard and so on that can be readily recycled, paper pallets and so on as well that are readily recyclable. Again, more the suppliers with IKEA. But yeah, there's a lot of work going on into the efficiencies because it does drive both lower costs as well as a lower carbon footprint. So it's a win-win there as well, of course.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, I love that they don't ship air.
Yes.
caption that you just mentioned, that's definitely, I think, reducing the space a product takes up really does help to reduce emissions. Also, in the sense that when
Yes.
you ship or like even via air freight, when you can pack more on one vehicle, obviously that saves a lot of emissions already.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I guess when it comes to, because IKEA is an international company, and I assume the most of the products are still manufactured in Europe, or will it be manufactured around the world?
We have manufacturing around the world, yes, like many large companies. And of course, we have stores all over the world as well. So wherever we can, we obviously would ship closer. Again, that saves money as well as having a lower footprint. So it makes good business sense. It's also quicker, so then it's better for the customers as well. So where we can, we ship from the closest and shortest possible distance. But again, I think it's also about looking at partnering. I know that our Inter-IKEA colleagues are partnering with the big cargo players to really look at driving efficiencies on and switching to zero emission deliveries for shipping as well, which is obviously really important too, and actually cargo ships around the world. So decarbonizing that is extremely important. So it's fantastic that our colleagues on the supply chain side are investigating that.
With cargo deliveries, how common is it now to have zero emission cargo ships? Is it considered quite the? I guess it's not the norm, but is it easy to access, or is it still quite niche?
I'm definitely not an expert on that, I must admit. We could probably get the information for you. My top of mind thoughts would be that it's still relatively rare and it's something that the industry is trying to convert towards as fast as they can. But that would just be my anecdotal feeling about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. Um, okay, so that covers a little bit of the zero emission deliveries part of IKEA's sustainability mission. Something else I'd love to talk about is the customer experience journey. So we talked a bit about that just now, about how there are some take back schemes as well as some educational initiatives that really encourage customers to recycle and to reduce their carbon footprint. Are there any specific case studies you'd like to talk about in this respect?
Yeah, I just would want to add as well on the customer journey. And if we take that literally on the zero emission deliveries as well, one thing that we're also committed to is making sure that we have chargers for customers' e-vehicles as well when they come and visit us in stores. So making sure that we've got in every store that has a car park, making sure we have some chargers there for their electric vehicles, which is fantastic too. But yeah, I think a lot of the work that we've been doing then, when we think about enabling customers to really repair and look after products and so on, is and it can even be with our Ingka shopping centres. They have been trialing some work with a system they call Circuit, where you can actually have customers and small local enterprises coming together to really create a sort of second-hand swap to learn how to paint and repair and hack products, and also selling vegetarian food and healthier food choices as well. So there's a lot of work going on with our Inca shopping centres as well. And then, yeah, as I mentioned before, when it comes to IKEA, it's things like the as is, or what we call the circular hub area, where customers can bring back the products and also take ex display or repaired products. They can buy those for a much lower price as well. So we had 32.5 million products resold in that as is area in the last year. So it's big numbers that go through there. And then we've also been exploring in different local markets how to partner with secondhand, sort of really enabling customers to connect with each other and so on. So it goes across all different parts of circular.
Yeah. And does IKEA have their own repair services for people clients who want to repair some of the furniture instead of throw it away?
It tends to be that we offer spare parts. So we would offer the spare parts for them to be able to repair. And then there are some localized sort of community engagement things where people would get together and use sort of local experts to repair, but it's done more on a localized level, sort of within the community, depending on if the store wants to focus on that. So from a global scale, it's much more about the getting spare parts out to people and sharing how to repair with knowledge and information as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what about the rates of recycling? Do you have any, I guess, any data on how often clients would actually bring back used furniture to the circular hubs that you mentioned?
Well, we have. I haven't got data on how much they recycle overall, but we do know it's sort of well over 100,000 that brought back in the take back scheme that we had last year. So it's a lot of product that comes back into our stores, and then we obviously would look at how we can repair it and on sell it for them in our as is areas. And that's growing all the time. We've only been doing that for I think it's 3 years now. We've had that sort of buyback take back scheme.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so good to hear. That's a huge number, 100,000 pieces of
Yeah,
furniture.
yeah.
And I mean, just out of interest as well, are there certain markets which maybe customers tend to recycle more than others, or is it generally quite balanced?
I think it's fairly balanced. I think most Europe in general seems to be stronger, but we find that with a lot of sort of sustainability initiatives as well, that Europe's slightly ahead of the rest of the world. I don't know whether it's just more customer awareness and so on, but in general, it's something that was picked up across many of our different markets.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Um, is there anything else related to the customer journey? Other initiatives where maybe you encourage customers to reduce their carbon footprint?
Yeah, in almost every store around the world, we have an area called the Sustainable Living Shop. And of course, throughout the stores, we have sustainable products and products made from renewable and recycled materials. But in that particular part of the store, it's often near the restaurant, just before you go downstairs to the market hall and browse through the sort of market hall area. We have an area there, Sustainable Living Shop, with a big focus on reducing energy, reducing waste at home. So buying products so that you can do your recycling better, also saving food waste with really good containers to keep your food fresher for longer, for taking in your lunches and so on the next day, and so not throwing your leftovers away. Water saving devices in the markets that have them. That's where you can also look at the solar panels to take those, be able to get those put on your roof as well. So we have, yeah, saving energy, reducing waste, water, and of course, all of these have the added benefit of saving the customer money as well. So it's fantastic that we've had those. We launched them around the time of COP26 when COP was in Glasgow, and we launched it globally. And then we keep learning, revising, and trying to inspire more to make them more interesting and appealing to the customers. So we keep revising based on customer feedback and sales data and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually next time I go to the IKEA store in Hong Kong, I'll see if there is the sustainability living shop area because
Yes,
I'm not
yeah,
sure I
yeah.
recall seeing that before.
I'm not sure because I haven't been to Hong Kong for actually since pre-COVID times. But if you're next back in London, definitely check out the Greenwich store. They've got a great one there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, definitely. Um, so you mentioned this is also something that you constantly talk to customers about to make sure you get their feedback and what their experience is. Have you noticed over the recent years, since there's a lot more rhetoric about the climate crisis and sustainability, and there's also an energy crisis, are customers more and more willing to and more open to using some of these sustainability solutions as well?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think, well, yeah, I mentioned earlier that sustainability and affordability need to go hand in hand. So what we find, of course, is customers do not want to pay more for it. So, and we don't want them and feel that they should have to either. So that's where I think they can make wise choices by shopping with us. But I also know because we do surveys every year or two around sort of asking over 30,000 customers across multiple markets what are their thoughts around climate and sustainability in general. And what we do see is a great deal of worry, and in particular with younger people. But we also see what we call the worry to action gap. So we see a lot of them very concerned. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I think it's like 7 or 8 out of 10 are very, very concerned about it. But a much smaller amount actually act. So I think what we would like to do is provide the information, tools, tricks, support network, and also obviously the products for them to be able to act and feel like they can make a difference. And the reasons they give for not acting are, first of all, not knowing what to do. I mean, that's an obvious one. But also, if they feel governments or businesses are not doing enough, or they don't see others, their peers around them doing enough. So again, it's that advocacy role of, if we can take a stand and really demonstrate what we're doing, but also what we want to help them do, it can help bridge that sort of worry to action gap for them. So we take that very seriously in the desire to really help people, because I also think, there's a lot going on in the world and a lot of complex topics and challenges for people to feel that they weigh quite heavy on your heart and on your mind. And one way of beating that is feeling empowered and that you can take action. And so we very much feel that it's about optimism, but it's not blind optimism. It's optimism driven by action and empowerment. So that's something we obviously want to empower all of our customers and our co-workers to do.
Yes, I love the word empowerment. I think that feels just very uplifting and so much more positive, because with a lot of the stories around the climate crisis, it's often quite negative. And
Yes, yeah,
if I feel like if customers feel like they can't live their best lives, or they can't have the best experience when they're trying to be sustainable and trying to reduce waste, then it doesn't really appeal to them, especially like you said, with so many sometimes upsetting issues going on in this world.
yes,
People want to be able to enjoy their lives, like they want to be able to enjoy their food and their furniture, and that's why
yes,
you need to tell a story around optimism.
yes,
um,
yeah,
and
yeah,
this moves us perfectly onto some questions I want to ask you about climate leadership. I think because the climate crisis and sustainability, it's they're global issues. Um, Maybe if you could talk a bit more about how, as CSO of Ingka Group, what actions you take personally to empower the employees, as well as the consumers. um, that would be really a really interesting way to end this conversation.
yeah. Great, thank you. I think, yeah, I do feel that I'm in a very lucky position to have such a fantastic job with an organisation that really cares deeply about it. So I talked about the vision for a better everyday life for the many people earlier, and when that is a vision that is believed by all 177,000 co-workers and all managers and so on, at least we know that as part of that, we don't have to discuss the why and do the persuading on the why. But what they obviously want to know is the how. What role can they play as co-workers and or managers? I think for us it is about having that really clear vision for the future and then creating plans to get there. And we have also created what we call value creation goals, which is an holistic view on our performance. So of course we still measure the financials, and we need to be, a profitable business that continues to grow. But increasingly, we need to measure much more around whether our customers are happy, whether our co-workers are happy and engaged and have the tools to perform at their best as well. And of course, we need to measure our impact on sustainability topics, whether that's human rights, healthy, sustainable living, circular, or climate. So all of those are taken holistically to now see how do we measure our performance as Ingka Group going forward. And we will continue to learn and iterate those going forward. So I think having clear measurements, setting clear expectations for co-workers, and leading with inspiration and authenticity as well. I think for me, that's very much about, inspiring and not because people feel they have to do it. Uh, And we know, and then all the stats prove it, that sustainability is actually great business sense. It can seem like you have to invest more at the start, and sometimes you do, but longer term, for being a resilient business and an employer of choice, so for talent retention and for trust for our customers as well, we really don't have a choice. So in that way, it actually really helps to leverage our senior leadership team as well. So I'd say to fellow CSOs who are trying to drive things, make sure your vision is clear, and also make sure you get your senior leaders across the business on side and together collaborating. This is not about sustainability being a separate topic on the side and it's business as usual elsewhere. You absolutely must integrate it across the business and keep the finance team as your best friends as well. um, yeah, because so much of it is about investment, especially initially. You know, you get the return on investment eventually, but being able to be prepared to invest in renewable heating and cooling, zero emission delivery trucks, these are quite large investments to start with. And so knowing how to get it into the business planning and budgeting process and getting that support is critical as well.
And what was that process like for you when you were talking about to the finance team and the senior leaders about wanting to allocate a sum to zero emission deliveries and other initiatives? Did you face any challenges or face any disagreements by the senior leaders?
Not disagreements at all in terms of the why we need to do it. I think like any cost conscious business, and we are a particularly cost conscious business, it is very much about making the business case compelling enough and based on facts and really having the data to back it up, looking at payback time and so on. And again, it's not just payback in the financial sense of the word. It's the holistic view of why this is necessary in order to be a good business and why that then makes good business sense. So definitely having the facts so that you can take the emotion and the discussions and the opinions out of the topic and really focus on having the facts and having clear goals and commitments as well. So if you know you have to reach a certain commitment, like being climate positive or net zero by 2050, then you have to have the plans in place to get there. Will those plans need to change? Do we know all the answers? No. And yes, the plans will need to change, but at least you need to start somewhere with the facts that you know today. And then you need to be prepared to be flexible and change them as time goes on. Um, and it does take courage sometimes. And I think in other organizations where you might still need to do some persuading on the why, then it's even more important to collaborate, I think, and to learn from each other and to look at partnerships and to be fact based as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's all very, very useful and very insightful. So thank you so much for sharing what you've learned so far as CSO of Ingka Group. And I know it's still a relatively new role. It's just been a year and a half, but you've seemed to already have done so much. So congratulations for everything you've achieved so far. And I just want to end with um, I guess two small points, which is I want to know what the main challenge and the main thing you're looking forward to in 2023 are. So what are those two things for Ingka Group and for IKEA, I guess, this year?
Yes, yeah, okay. I think yeah, I'm looking forward to lots of things. I'm looking forward to a lot of the great developments we're doing, particularly about the renewable heating and cooling. I think we've really both there and the zero emission deliveries. So what we can control in our own operations, we're really upping the ante there to speed things up because we need to, of course. So they would be two big things I'm really looking forward to. And then I I guess one of our challenges is to be fully circular. We're doing so much great work across the full value chain, but in order to really become a circular business in a world where primarily retailers and industries, manufacturing is still fairly linear, that's um, that's a paradigm shift for the entire industry. And as I said before, it is about ecosystem thinking and really collaborating to solve that problem together And that's not a quick moving one when you're a large multinational retailer either. So it's how do we really keep moving towards that overall shared ambition to be a circular ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm sure that is a big challenge, and like we talked about just now, it's because it involves so many stakeholders,
Yes,
as
yeah,
well as the fact that the value chain itself is linear, and that is it's a systems change that needs to happen, and systems change don't happen that quickly.
no,
But
exactly. Yeah,
yeah, but the fact that IKEA and Ingka Group are taking the initiative and really setting goals to do so is already very inspiring, and I'm sure with you leading, it will be like the transition will happen. So I think this is a great place to end, and I just wanted to thank you for your time, for your insights. It's been very, very great speaking to you. So
great to speak to you too. Thank you for listening, Claudia. It's been fantastic.
yes, thank you so much, Karen. And if you have any case studies or initiatives to share, please do share it with me so that I can share it with our listeners as well.
Great.
And I'm looking forward to everything IKEA has in store, and I will be following your journey on LinkedIn. So yes, thank you again for joining me. And to
Thank
our
you.
listeners, thank you, Karen. To our listeners, thank you for tuning into this episode of Let's Talk Sustainable Business. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe to our podcast series or explore the entire catalog of podcast programming from the Conference Board by visiting our website at www.conference-board.org. And if you have any thoughts to share with us, you can email us at sustainability@tcb.org. Thank you, and
That
see you next
was
time.
Let's Talk Sustainable Business.